I think it's polarizing. I think its marketing was garbage. Uh, but I personally like the show quite a lot. I can understand this is Starfleet Academy now, just to make it abundantly clear. I can understand why people don't take to it, but I think it's kind of from the get-go, it sets out what it is and what it's trying to be. And like I think me and Kev were talking a bit off the air about this, and it's kind of like, well, it's a Star Trek kind of like coming of age, like comedy thing. Like it is what it is. It's not trying to be next generation and failing. So I like it on its terms. What do you think, Kev?
I was very diplomatic when we were talking about this, but then I've been sitting with it. And I really don't like this show.
Oh, really? Okay.
I really don't. Like, okay, where I started when I started, because I had known kind of it was going to be kind of a teen school drama. I kind of knew that in the jump. And when I started watching it, it became very apparent to me that this show is just not for me. That was my first impression.
What was the point where it lost you?
Uh, I mean, it really started to lose me pretty much like right after the flash forward to of Caleb. Actually, do you know what? The first things first. Let me kind of break down what the show actually is. So it is a. It takes place after the events of Discovery at like in the 34th century thereabouts, about 1,000 years after like Prime Trek. And it's about basically the rebuilding of the Federation after the burn, which was where all the dilithium cores exploded and space travel became very limited. And now it's about the Federation kind of rebuilding themselves and coming back together and trying to build a whole bunch of new allies. And in that is focused on the story of one Caleb Meir, who was separated from his mother at a young age for during a court proceeding where she was tacitly involved, only for him to live a kind of a life of roguery and crime up until he gets picked up by a Starfleet admiral played by Holly Hunter, Commander Ake, who was the one who separated him from his mother, and she takes him under his wing at the newly founded Starfleet Academy with the promise of finding their mother who is lost in space.
Right.
And
that's very succinct, yeah.
There's just kind of tonal issues I'm finding with it. Like, first off the bat, I cannot. I'm just not a fan of Caleb as a whole of a character. I just think he's too prickly and too aggressive for how much leeway he's getting in this show.
Okay, all right. I mean, like, I get where you're coming from, but like, I personally just like the dynamic between Caleb and I'm gonna bring up the name now, and Holly Hunter's character. I'm not sure if he's referred to as Nala or Ak, but either way, the half Lathanite captain. I kind of like that it's sort of a mother-son dynamic. You don't get a huge amount of those, like, in action sci-fi TV, so I find that a bit refreshing. I like how it's like an ensemble thing, but like he's just sort of the focus of it to an extent. Like he wasn't hugely involved with episode 3 that came out yesterday. And like I don't know. I mean, I want to hear more about what's not working for you. But personally, it might just be the Doctor Who fan in me, where it's just like, okay, every showrunner's going to turn up, they're going to do their thing, and it's going to be in a bubble. If you come to this looking for like next gen type Star Trek, this ain't that. But you know what?
Totally.
In this day and age, I'd much rather like Star Trek took a big swing on a weird Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets Fire Emblem Three Houses concept, uh, and like commit to it and do it well, rather than like half committing to something that's vaguely like TOS or Voyager or something like that.
Completely. I don't disagree with the show kind of fundamentally. I've actually something I've said kind of on air is that I do like that there seems to kind of an ethos of the Kurtzman era of Star Trek that is trying to make Star Trek for different people, for a lot of kind of different avenues. Like, Discovery was obviously kind of pandering to a lot of kind of like the golden age of television, Breaking Bad, sort of like prestige TV. Lower Decks was obviously going for kind of an adult comedy end. Prodigy was trying for kind of a younger elementary school kind of end. And, Section 31 was for people with failed lobotomies. Star Trek for all.
Okay, who set the timer for when Section 31 was coming up?
It was inevitable. It's so clearly the bar for just bad Star Trek.
In fairness, it was never going to win over an Irish crowd very easily, was it?
It was going to do it over any crowd. It's awful.
I mean, the bar for bad Star Trek is Star Trek.
Oh, Dara, you've no idea.
Dara, you're a Star Wars fan. You can
Exactly. That's why I'm just letting this go because I have no dog in the fight at all.
Look, the other Star Trek stuff is like, Mandalorian to Rebels quality. Like Section 31 is like the holiday special. It's completely different league.
Oh, okay.
Like no, again, we're not gonna relitigate this, but most of the thing I could say about the Rise of Skywalker is that it is at least competently shot. But anyway, and Caleb being again, as I said, Caleb is the focus of the show, and I kind of I don't find him an engaging character. I haven't found a lot of heart for him to kind of break into. I think the kind of the main kind of emotional crux of it is him wanting to find his mother, and there hasn't been enough there for me to kind of gel to him, and otherwise he's just been kind of prickly and aggressive for most of the other time. But not helping by that, I kind of have a similar feeling towards most of the rest of the cast. Like you mentioned, the other kind of core character is Captain Nala Ake, and they've really made this concerted effort because, obviously, I think with particularly she'd be the captain of this show essentially.
Yeah,
and there's always this kind of a lot of Star Trek is defined by its captain. And there's always kind of a push to try and make that captain stand out in comparison to their peers. And there's been there's a really conceited effort to make Ake kind of quirky and holistic.
Oh yeah, the way she sits in a chair is
the way she sits in a chair, showing up to a meeting barefoot. I only watched half of the new episode. I watched it during my lunch break. I just couldn't bring myself to come back to it.
Isn't this supposed to be Starfleet where they have rules and uniforms and stuff like that?
Well, it's like Starfleet University. They're not on a ship.
Yeah, but they're still it's supposed to military school, right? So
it's funny you bring that up because they're next door to the military school. This is the sort of explorers school.
Right, then how is she not kicked out for not following the rules?
He's the captain. She's in charge.
Oh, okay. I can see the problem.
But to be fair, she is balanced out by. I'm just going to bring up the name here.
I will say, Laura Thok actually is one of the few characters. I think I'm kind of mixed on her. She is definitely one of the most enjoyable characters on it. She's the first in command. She's a half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon, who kind of acts as this she's very much the grim drill sergeant to her hippie. And there is a fun dynamic there. And again, as a performance, she is really hamming it up to a quite enjoyable degree. But that's another thing is there's a real push to there is a kind of a focus on almost kind of militarization that just doesn't sit comfortable with me.
And really? The last episode was about a giant prank war.
Yeah, with a military college.
Yeah, but they're next door.
That's and my God, yeah. That's it's just another thing. This is probably me just projecting on just that it's not on that it's not my thing. But also, are we really just doing the rival school across the lake thing?
Yeah.
I'm separating my feelings of I think this is bad and this is just not for me. But they had chances to kind of do things that are fun and creative, and they're falling back on what I would consider very tired and rote hallmarks.
Yeah, well, my wife enjoyed it, but she said a similar thing. Yeah, she didn't get the sort of competitive jock mentality.
Yeah,
she found it to be very American,
That's it. This, yeah, and the show has its dialogue uses a lot of kind of contemporary phrasings that just kind of feel tonally out of sync. Even with Discovery, say, which kind of would be its closest parallel. Because I'm going to give the show a lot of slack because we are in a section of the Star Trek universe and Star Trek timeline that is mostly unexplored. This isn't Roddenberry's Utopia. this is
it's a
a
bit of a blank
post-utopia.
canvas. Yeah.
Yeah. So like